my apologies, you probably didn't hear me then, but I'm trying, as I say, I'm trying something different, but I can hear my own voice in my ear twice, so I don't know. I've worked, got to try and work something out. If it's going to work, might not have been a good chance to do it today. I might actually get rid of it. Get rid of that. And it'll just be me that you can hear in my ear. Apologies. Let's get that, leave that. We'll go back to our old way of doing it, and I'll have a bit of a play with that picture in picture a little bit later on. So, yep, thanks for joining me, everyone. I can see you all jumping on, and I can see the comments and everything, so that's great. I will have a bit of a try with that. That was really sort of quite hoopy, having the picture of me in the corner. So, yeah, I'll try and get the hang of that now that I've got lots of time on my hands. Anyway, today I'm going to make a couple of cards with the Ranunculus Romance bundle again, but I'm not using the stamp set at all this time, except maybe for a sentiment or two. I actually set myself a challenge, and I set my dear friend Jan a challenge as well, to try and find me some cards that I could copy or case, or at least get inspiration from, using this die, which is part of the die set. So it's just a big, well, it's quite large actually, a large, supposedly stylized ranuncular there. So it sort of has an outline where you can cut out a whole image, and then it's got all this detail here where you can see all the little petals and things folding in on each other. So that was my challenge for today's video. So I have come up with a couple of designs. Jan and I decided, and Jan, I can see you're on. Jan and I decided that basically I don't think anyone had been using the die very much yet. There were a couple of designs that were inspired by the catalogue, and the catalogue had some lovely stuff on there, of course, but it didn't seem like anyone had actually used it for anything original yet, or at least was out there with it. So that's what my challenge to myself was today. So I've come up with a couple of designs. I have borrowed inspiration from a couple of old layouts that there was a very similar die about 4 years ago. So I have borrowed inspiration from a couple of those, but I've had to change it because the scales were quite different. It was the old layouts where the flowers were a lot smaller. Okay, so my two cards that I've come up with, Jan, you can probably see whether you can see where I've got my inspiration from. The first one is going to be very similar to, this was my prototype here. So that uses, as you can see, the white ranunculus. We'll call them ranunculus. I'm not actually sure whether they actually look like ranunculus, but anyway, so the white ranunculus, and I've backed it with, and I'm not sure if you can see in the light there, I've backed it with the Poppy Parade shimmer ombre paper. You can see it's got a little bit of a shine in the light there, so that's the one I've backed that with, just to give that a little bit of bling. And then I've created a frame with a square piece of white cardstock cut out with a rectangle there. So that was the prototype. I'm going to be doing mine, the one that I do with you guys, slightly differently, but yeah, much the same concept. So rather than a white card base with our card, I'm starting with a Poppy Parade card base. It's got 8 1/4 by 5 3/4, and sort of scored in that. Oh, it's actually only 5 1/2. Yes, it's only 5 1/2 long, because the rectangles that I'm using to cut out the little square sort of fit better with that those proportions. So that's a Poppy Parade card base. I then have a small piece, which is my very last piece of the ombre shimmer paper, very last piece, cut, I think that's 3 1/2 by 4 1/2, but as long as it's big enough to pop in behind your frame, then you're okay. It doesn't have to be mega huge. My frame's picked up a little bit of glue or some muck from the die cut machine, so I'll just get those off. Okay, and as with the original I showed you, I've cut out 2 of those very pretty chrysanthemums. No, why do I say chrysanthemums? Ranunculus. Anyway, the flower. We've cut out 2 of the flower. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, first of all, going to glue our shimmer paper to the card base. Well, just in the middle there, just with some glue on the back. And it doesn't really matter too much as long as it's fairly central, because my frame is going to pretty much cover that over pretty well. Okay, so there's just our shimmer paper there. It's a little bit darker than normal in here today, apart from the fact that the sky is a little bit cloudy. My brother-in-law and his wife visiting us from Queensland, and they've bought this. It's the biggest caravan I've ever seen, and basically it's parked in my driveway, which is probably 30 centimeters from a window. So it's not it's cutting out the majority of the light to my craft room, but that's okay. It's nice to see them. Okay, so I'm going to position my 2 little ranunculus. I'm going to pop them in the opposite corners of the card. Just going to pop some glue on the back, just blobs, nothing too, hopefully nothing too much, too blobby. I do have a glue from a different company that I just picked up in a craft store that has a little brush on it, and it's actually very handy for this sort of thing. I thought I'd try this with the glue. It's not too bad. Just taking it over there, just as sort of, yeah, because it's going to be held down by the frame anyway, so you don't have to go too crazy. So I'm going to pop that, just first of all, pop that in that corner. Get a wet wipe and just pat it down lightly. Okay, handy for my fingers as well. And the second one, I'll do the same, and I'll pop that in the top right-hand corner. And I wonder why I get glue everywhere. Okay, so I'm going to pop that one up there. Now, not hard up on the edge, because obviously my little frame doesn't go all the way to the edge. So I'm going to stop my ranunculus a little distance in. Now I'm trying to, now that I have retired from my day job, I'm trying to work out the best times and days to go live. Obviously, I'll keep up with my Saturday morning because that's when everyone's used to seeing me, but I'm trying to work out the days in between and see what I can actually do. So yes, so if you find I pop up at strange times, it's just me trying to get to terms with my new routine. I've been told it's very important that I grab some sort of routine, and I agree with that. But yes, so it might be a Tuesday, Wednesday, Saturday. It might be a, I don't know. It might just be when the muse comes over me that I actually jump on. But yes, I'm trying to work those times out. As I say, if you miss me when I'm on, like if you miss me today, there's always the replay. Just about ready for my launch on Sunday. I'm very excited about that. I think the last kits, and it's gone. The last kits arrived this week. So everyone who bought kits for I'm just mucking up trying to get my focus to go. Sorry, guys. It's gone a bit funny there. I think it's the light. Well, it doesn't look too bad on my phone. It might be okay. Might just persevere with it. I think it's the light, because it's so dark in here. The camera's struggling a wee bit. But anyway, hopefully it'll adjust in a second. I may have to upgrade the camera, I think. Anyway, we'll keep going, keep ploughing on. The trouble is, if I turn my overhead lights on I'll get some weird I'll get weird shadows and everything, so I'm not going to do that. So anyway, what I'm doing is just adding double-sided tape to my to the back of my little frame. So this is a 1/8 of an inch smaller than the card base, and I have cut out with, that's one of our stitched rectangles there. You can see that's one of our stitched rectangles, and it looks like that just fixed my focus. Yeah, so I think it's the 4th from largest rectangle in the set. So yeah, I think it's about to rain as well. No wonder it's got so dark. It just got really dark just then. Must have some rain coming over. So my visitors, I'm quite used to my own company. The ladies who know me know that I often sort of lock myself away in my craft room, and quite happy to do so. But my visitors have gone out for the morning, so it's been quite nice. I love having them here, but I do like my own space as well. So there we are. We have the little frame there. So it looks like our 2 little ranunculus are peeking out from behind a window almost. So yeah, that's really good. I like that. That's worked out well, and you can get the shimmer behind there just for something special. So really all I'm going to do now is pop a sentiment on this one. It's not overly the most complicated card in the world, which is good. I'm just going to use the Just For You there, and I'm actually going to heat emboss it onto another piece of Poppy Parade cardstock, just with white. So I've got my verse mark on my stamp, and where's my cat? Oh, yeah, it's over there. Still not 100% settled into my new room. That's why the light's different, the noise is different, the internet's different, everything's different. So we're sort of still trying to work out the best way to do things. And so my heat gun is over the other side of the room, plugged into the nearest power point. So, but I'll get it now. Okay, so we've got white embossing powder, and just while I've got that out, just to preempt the next card, while I've got my embossing powder out, I'm going to grab a little slither, and this is going to give away the colours for the next one. I'm going to got my crumb cake there. I'm going to do exactly the same sentiment, just so I don't have to do it twice. Just the same sentiment, and again I'm going to do it in white. So just so I don't have to get out the heat gun twice. So that's a bit of a sneak peek for the next card. There we are. Oh, yes, that's okay. So I'll just grab my heat gun. Forgive the noise. Did I just see Sue say it's pouring where you are, Sue? Yes, it's just started here as well. Here we go. There's my heat gun. Is it plugged in? Yes. So I'll just do that. Just forgive the noise for a second. Yeah, that's just about gone. Yep, that's turning. Okay, so there's our white on Poppy Parade. And then I'll just do this one quickly. As I say, this is for the second card that you haven't seen yet. A little bit more complicated than the first one. There we go. I'll just leave that one there. Pop that on the floor. There we go. Okay, so we've got our Just For You on the red, which is really nice. And I'm just going to trim that down, and I'm going to pop that just on the front of the card like that, but I'm going to trim it down to the bare minimum. Okay, let's get that. Hopefully that's straight. Hey Lee, it's pouring there as well. It must be everywhere. I would say we need it, but we really don't. We haven't emptied the what's the word? The rain gauge is still full from the big storms we had Friday over a week ago. So we don't actually need any more rain than we've got. So that little just for you, I'm just going to pop that. I might give it some little banner ends just for a little bit on one end anyway. I might just give it a little banner end on this end, just with my banner punch. That one? No, that one. There we are. And I reckon that's a wee bit long. Just trim that down a bit. There we are. And a couple of dimensionals. And maybe some bling as well. And some bling. I did have some bling here. Bling, bling. Where did you go? Here. So I've got my favourite at the moment, my iridescent rhinestones from the current mini catalogue. And I might pop a couple of those around as well. Just thought maybe they'd look cute in the centre of the flower. So just 3 little clustered. Well, you don't see them very much. Oh no, let's try. Didn't quite get to finishing this one in my head. I knew what I wanted to do, but I hadn't quite got that far. Anyway, so there we are. Just a wee bit of bling just in the centre there. Okay. All right, so that's my first one. As I say, very simple, just highlighting those shapes of that die with the shimmer paper behind and a nice little white frame. So just a quick, easy card for our first one. We'll pop those away. Second card is a little bit more complicated, a little bit more to it than that. I'll put a white panel in that one when I'm finished and went before I photograph it. So as you saw with those white, the white ranunculus we used in the first card, the flowers in this die set are quite large. So they're quite large. Here I've cut 3. So they do actually have, you can cut the highlight, the detail, and you can cut just a straight sort of silhouette one. So what I've done here is I've cut 3. So I've cut a silhouette and a detail. We've got Blushing Bride, which is the pink. We've got a plain white one. And we have a Daffodil Delight one, which for some reason, with all the daffodil cards, I've got lots of scraps of Daffodil Delight around, so that was good to use that on. So I've got those 3 there, and they're quite large. So you can see that if I wanted to get those 3 sort of in the standard size card, they'd take up most of the card front, which, you know, not such a bad thing. So this card I've scaled up. So I'm actually doing a 7-inch by 5-inch card, which is the bigger, what is it, A7, something like that. I think you've got to put it in a larger A7 envelope. But anyway, so that's what I've gone for, because then they don't they don't take up the whole card. They just take up most of it. Anyway, so I've got my 3 flowers there. I've got my card base, which is So Saffron. So I've started with that. So that's the best part of a whole A4 piece of cardstock there. I've got a piece of crumb cake, which I've popped through my favourite embossing folder. You can see that there. I've popped it through the Tasteful Textiles embossing folder. Now, that was a bit tricky because obviously the embossing folder is smaller. So what I've actually did was rotated it and popped it through twice. So half with the embossing folder on that half, and then again with the embossing folder on that half. And that does leave a funny sort of little line, which you can probably pick up, a probably little line there where the two runs through didn't quite match. So that's okay, because what I'm going to do is bring in a piece of the Marblicious Designer Series paper, and I'm going to cover that over. So you won't see that there's a little mismatch of our embossing there. So it's going to be covered with that. So I'm actually getting a bit of use of the Simply Marvelous Designer Series paper now. There, I've got a damn huge caravan outside my house, and the sun manages to get around it. How is that for you? Another thing I'm going to have to sort out if I'm going to stay in this room as to how to stay away from the sunbeams, or whether I go later or something when the sun's around a different angle. But anyway, hopefully they won't be too distracting for you. So anyway, I've got my piece of Simply Marvelous paper there. So I'm using the Blushing Bride one. So that's going to match that flower there. So what I'm going to do is actually pop my card kit, or my card base, away for a minute, and I'm going to just glue my piece of Designer Series paper onto my embossed crumb cake. And as I say, I'm just covering over that wee bit that looks a bit funny with the embossing, the crossover between the two runs through the machine, and that's just going to sit on there like that. Okay, then I'm going to bring in my linen thread, and I'm going to pop that around the pink, around the Designer Series paper a couple of times. 1, 2, I might do it that 3 times. I'll trim that off, and I'm going to just tie a knot over to the right hand side. No bows, just a knot. Yeah, and I'll trim that down a wee bit. There we are. So that's why I wanted to pop that paper on there first, because I am actually going to now glue all of that to my card base. This is a little bit different for me, this one. It's not colours that I would normally go with, and it's not, well, it's definitely don't usually go this big. And yeah, so it's just a wee bit different. That's all right. We should always sort of extend our comfort zone, shouldn't we? Okay, so we've got that there. Okay, so we've got that. That's our card base. So that's basically where we're going to pop our. We're going to pop our flowers now. So I'll start with my pink one. I'm just going to glue that straight on there. I think that's how I was going to do it. Hang on, or was it that side? And then that one. No, that one's got to go there. That one's there. Yeah, that's the way I was going to do it. So I'm going to glue the pink one on first, just straight on to the crumb cake. Just like that. This white one, I'm going to pop it on some dimensionals so it just can slightly overlap the pink one. So sort of just a wee bit there. So this one just a little bit like that. Okay, so we've got 2. And this yellow one, I'm going to pop it, I'll pop it under the twine. No, pop it slightly over the twine. So I might pop it on some dimensionals as well, and it's going to be down there like that. So this is our Daffodil Delight Ranunculus. I don't know if they actually come in that colour. I'm assuming most flowers come in some sort of yellow. There we are. How's that? It's, as I say, unusual for me. It's not what I'd usually do, but yeah, I was sort of trying to be a little bit outside the outside my comfort zone, which is good sometimes. Okay, so there. This is our sentiment that we that I just did before with my heat embossing. So I'm going to trim this one down as well. Oh, not my card. That would be a disaster. So I'm just going to trim this down. Hopefully get as straight as I can. Not too bad. I'm going to pop him over there. So we're going to do that. I'll make it a wee bit. I'll make it shorter and it won't have to muck around with it, the length too much. There we are. I might make it a tiny bit thinner if I can. And as quickly as that rain came, it's now gone and the birds are going crazy again. Yep. There we are. And I'm going to pop that on there. So I don't need quite that much. I might give it a little banner again, just to stick with my theme. Seems to be my theme for the day. Yeah. And don't need quite that much length. Yep, I like that. I like this one too. Okay, so some dimensionals on the back of that. And I am going to give this one a little bit of bling. And again, I'm using something that I don't use very often. I'm actually going to give it, oh, I've got the dimensional too close to the edge. I'm actually going to give this one pearls. And I hardly ever use pearls, so it's as I say, a little bit different to my usual cards. Yeah. Here we are. How's that? That would be a nice card for like a group. If a group wanted to sign the inside, you know, once you've put a white panel in it, you could sort of make that size just for, you know, the whole family or the whole team to sign, which would be really nice. My pearls are here somewhere. Where are my pearls? Here they go. So here's my pearls. So I thought I would try again like I did with the others, the other one, to give them just little centres, little sort of flower centres. So I just pop the pearls, just the little ones, just in there. I'm going to use a fair few here because I'm going to use 4. Yeah, it's nice. 4 per flower. Probably get away with 3, but I've got 4 now. Where did you want to go? Stuck to my finger with all the glue. And the ink, got ink from this morning as well. Been mucking around with designs for my launch on Sunday, which I'm really looking forward to. Just a couple of extra little designs that I'm going to show you guys. Okay, so there's 4 little centers there, and I might actually do some bigger ones around as well. Might as well use them all. To get that odd number, have to be an odd number of embellishments. There we are. I need some more. You can tell I don't use pearls very often. I'm just going absolutely crazy with them. Okay, there we are. That's probably enough. Definitely enough, I would say. There you go. Actually, it's probably too much. I don't like that one. There we go. Yep, there we are. So that's our ranuncular card as well. Lots of big blooms. I'll bring it away from the camera a bit so you can actually see it. There. So with our pearls for our insides and our beautiful big pink, white and yellow ranunculars. So as I say, that one is a 7x5 card, just to keep the, so there was something to it other than flowers. Okay, so that's all I had to show you today. 2 cards in 32 minutes. That's pretty darn good. So there's our 2. I'm going to keep fiddling with this die. It's not going to get the better of me. I'm going to actually come up with some more ideas, I'm sure. But there's 2 there. So the Ranuncular Romance bundle is that stamp set there. We've used that on numerous occasions together. I mostly use this one. But as I say, I set a challenge to myself to use this die. And I'm kind of happy with what I've come up with. Still a little bit of fiddling to do. But anyway, so if you really like this bundle, please let me know. It's you buy the bundle at the moment, and I think it's $87.25. I'm going to have to check. But if you pop a glue with it or something like that, you can choose a celebration freebie. So you might choose the Simply Marvelous paper or some of the other wonderful free stamp sets and papers that are available till the end of February. So anyway, thanks for joining me, guys. Thanks for putting up with that little bit of mucking around at the beginning. I am going to get that picture-in-picture right now that I can got a bit of time to play. But have a great day, have a great week, and I will see you all for my normal Saturday morning. Okay, bye, guys.